Yea, brother.
That never gets old.
Never gets old.
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, Men on Trek, Season 2, Episode 7. And I should stop right here and make you tell me in the comments what episode we're covering today. But it is Season 3, Episode 20 of Star Trek. Original air date, February 21st, 1969. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, with a warning from the past or the future, it is the way to Eden. I am Admiral Looks Good in Red Herbert with my two captains, Mark A. Dystrom, whose fault it is, and James T. Palpatine,
Jake.
and of course, and Jake Palpatine.
Jake Palpatine.
James T. couldn't make it.
No.
And Lieutenant Commander Audio Arthur, who's taken a vow of silence.
Who has no comment.
So here we are, The Way to Eden, an episode that none of us like.
I hate this episode.
You hate that episode?
I hate it.
You despise it?
I hate it. And I think you said it's because the writing was so good that I hated it.
It's because they achieved their objective, yeah.
They just had like songs and they played like the whole song. Like they would sing, this guy would sing for 4, 5, 6 minutes in the episode. Where does that happen?
Well,
it didn't happen on like the Lucy show when Desi was at the Copacabana Club. Like you get the intro and the end of the song. It's the whole 10 verses. Gosh.
Well, you know, I'll take some Ricky Ricardo singing Babalu right about now over this. I will.
It's not about the songs, guys.
It is from a plot device somewhat. We'll get there.
It's about the character and what the characters do. That I do not like this episode, but I think this episode is very important.
I think you do like
for the Star Trek universe.
I'm putting it out on social media that you like this episode. That is your type 10.
You can do as you wish. I'm a grown man. I'm still going to eat. It's not going to make any difference whether you think I like it or not. The whole point is what is revealed through the writing and the characters.
This is true.
And it's very important, very prescient, actually.
Yeah.
For the day we live in. But we'll get into it. Mm-hmm. Once again, Star Trek is ahead of the curve.
Or bad
Captain Daystrom can see very clearly what you and I struggle to see, and that is the social commentary of this episode and how it's probably more it's more pertinent right now than a lot of the other episodes. Even though we like the other episodes and they tell a story, this one in 2021, COVID-19 isolating people, how this virus that they have could have been produced by the way that the Federation runs things and things. It's eerily
similar.
Yeah. And if you look at it that way, which Captain Daystrom is a much more mature, well-rounded individual than myself, and possibly the Admiral as well, because ooh man, it's so hard.
Yeah. There's a part of you that viscerally hates the characters in the episode, viscerally hates the episode because it doesn't do what Trek normally does, but it does the main function that Trek does that the creator wanted as social commentary.
Yeah.
And the episode does that perfectly.
But it does it perfectly. It does it in a way. The price to me was very high, in that I had to, like, first of all, the way that Kirk is written in this, not necessary to have him there.
True.
You could have done this with
any captain.
With not even him. It could have been like, Kirk, where's Kirk this episode? Hey, he's off on leave. You didn't even need him.
It was technically a Spock episode.
It was.
Well, no, I'm going to argue that a bit. This is a Chekov episode.
Yeah.
Chekov had Spock, 4 or 5 scenes.
Spock and Chekov.
Yeah, he kisses a girl. He does his beta thing with this relationship and everything that.
I think Daystrom hit on it when we were watching the episode. I think we find out why in this episode why Chekov never makes captain.
Really?
I'm just gonna put that out there. I think Daystrom was right. I think this is why this episode is Chekov's
Atomic
pile switch. This is why he doesn't ever make captain. This is why he finishes up.
It was just,
a commander.
It's a tough episode to watch.
But interestingly enough, one of the co-writers of the episode is Michael Richards, which is actually DC Fontana writing under a pseudonym.
Stop it.
DC Fontana co-wrote the screenplay for this episode.
Of course she did.
Oh, DC Fontana rocks.
Who wrote the other half?
I didn't even pay attention.
Okay.
I was too busy writhing in agony. But the episode opens. Let me do my thing, so Daystrom can do his thing.
Do it, Herbert.
You don't reach me, man. You don't reach me. The episode opens up. The Enterprise is chasing a stolen cruiser called the Aurora. It has been stolen. They are pushing for the Romulan neutral zone, and the Enterprise is pursuing them to apprehend them before they can cross into
Did you
Romulan
like the
space.
Aurora?
No, the Aurora was a garbage ship. Looks terrible.
Well, they didn't really show it to you except from the back. It was kind of a basic design. It looked like the same model they used for the updated MUD's ship in iMud.
It's like the J-class cruiser. But the reason I brought up the appearance of it is because we find out that a lot of the people that are on it, although they appear to be what they would call hippies in the 60s, maybe we call them that now, I don't know. But there was money. There was no really poor person on there. These are all like, one's a doctor, one is an ambassador's son, and and I'm just wondering, did they steal a Mercedes, or are they out there in a
they stole a
Chevy Chevette?
They stole a space cruiser. They stole a Mercedes.
Okay.
The point is, they're not ignorant people.
No, they're not unintelligent people, and they're not. And I think Jake's point is very salient in that, much like what we see today, the people doing this stuff are poor people. Don't drop out of society and steal spaceships. Poor people got to go to work.
That's right.
So
poor people have to eat.
Yeah, poor people too busy
trying to eat.
Too busy trying to live to, change the world. Too busy trying to live to start a revolution.
So go ahead, Admiral. Lead us in.
Oh, we're in.
As you were saying, but
they're pursuing the Aurora.
But they had a communication from Starfleet that the ambassador's son is on board.
Is one of the people on board.
They have to treat him
with kid gloves.
Yes. And that's the power affecting proper order. Some nebulous guy in the background who has influence is affecting proper order or proper judicial rule.
Because they should have been
thrown in the brig
immediately.
Immediately.
You mean like when the mayor of New York's daughter gets arrested and for rioting and they let her go? Kind of like that?
Well, if that happened, yes.
Just a little tidbit there. Just a little piece of history.
Mm.
But,
or a president's son who drops a gun in a
garbage can across from a
school.
Yeah, that could be something like that too. Yeah. Or a governor's husband who demands his boat be put in the water during COVID lockdown. All those things could be relative.
or a governor that got her haircut when nobody else could.
We'll be
that was
right back.
No, that was after the Senate.
That was a governor.
Speaker of the House.
That was the Speaker of the House and the governor of New York.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not New York, Chicago.
Hair is important. Hair is very important. I would violate.
But once again, the parallel is that the
power,
the privilege of money knows no era. It is timeless.
And once again, Star Trek is what? Correct.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the Enterprise is chasing our well-to-do ne'er-do-wells, and instead of pulling over, so to speak, they gun the engines to a dangerous level. The Enterprise overtakes them, puts a tractor beam on them. They continue to gun the engines. And like the ship design or not, I did like the fact they took the time to show you something was happening on the ship, that the engines were running hot, overloading. They did those effects. They took the time to show you that.
The one thing I liked about it, first thing came to my mind is hairy mud.
Yeah.
You come upon mud
Right.
takes
Mud tries
off.
to run.
Tractor beams.
Same kind
and
of
these
shit.
people are just not
Going to stop.
going to stop.
And
They're gonna push the edge till their ship breaks up, blows up,
Yeah.
hoping that what? The Enterprise will let them go. They're going to sacrifice themselves.
I was torn. I felt like you took the position they went and stopped because they felt like, well, if we endanger ourselves, maybe they'll let us go. I took the position that even though we find out later these are intelligent people, they're not ship captains. I took it more like they didn't understand the ship enough to know how much trouble they were in.
I doubt that. These are very intelligent people.
But none of them were ship
You can't look at a
captains.
dial and see it's going into the red.
Well, sure.
Well, when the actual environment in which you're existing begins to glow red, you would think.
I know. You see smoke coming out of the panel.
Hey, fellas, it's getting hot in here.
Oh, something's bad, Lieutenant Arthur. We got smoke coming out of the engine panel.
I think it might. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It was like, well, why were they doing that? Well, maybe it had to do with the idea of they're not gonna let us kill ourselves. They're gonna let us go.
No, I think that's the point, that they thought that.
I think it was mostly ignorance.
No, if they went, well, I agree with Jake.
You agree with Jake?
If they were thinking, if we go to the extreme,
We'll get Jim back next week.
if we go to the extreme, they will back off.
It was like Corvamite. Remember when they were trying to break free?
Yep.
And they had to take it right to past the red line, and then they kind of released them, and then they were able to navigate. So
Yeah. Well,
It don't happen.
this time our groovy heroes are wrong, but thanks to the competent crew of the Enterprise, they are beamed aboard as the ship overloads and self-destructs.
and we learned something technically here. So tractor beam range is not transporter range.
Yes,
No, it's not.
tractor
great.
beam is further.
It's greater. And
But you can think about that. You can transport down to the planet.
right.
So if you figure standard orbit is 50 miles or something like that.
Oh, tractor beam range is far.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Tractor beam range has got to be.
I assumed for some reason in my small mind
It would
that
be
it was
equal.
like, yeah, tractor beam and transport should be about
Well,
relative.
Well, sidebar, just did Star Trek invent the tractor beam? Because that's like a common term in sci-fi going forward. Everybody calls them tractor beams, and they all do the same thing.
I think Star Trek invented tractor beam.
I think they did. But it's just unique in that when they appear in other shows, everybody calls them a tractor beam.
It might have been in like one of those 50s movies or something like that.
Maybe.
But I think but being equipped with it and utilizing it,
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone.
I'm
else
definitely
doing it.
not giving it to that other property.
No, the other property came later.
I know that, but
The other property.
I'm not giving it to the other
No,
property.
no, they couldn't have.
Just because they have a station as big as a moon.
Because 1969 is not 1977.
That's definitely correct.
Well,
So-
and the tractor beam could have been in season. Now, photon
torpedoes were not in season 1, or
Right.
at least not in early season 1. Tractor beam. The first time I remember a tractor beam is Space Seed, because they take the they take the Botany Bay in tow.
Right.
Right,
That's the first time I remember one.
right.
But
So back on topic.
our heroes are our groovy heroes are beamed aboard the Enterprise.
As the Aurora goes
Kablawi.
Nice. The Aurora becomes an Aurora.
Yeah. Yes.
What struck me funny about this is our intrepid heroes
They
are
must-
upset that their joyride
Is
has
over.
been suspended.
They've been falsely imprisoned, accused.
Yeah, they've been stopped from doing.
They've been wronged because they were stopped from doing wrong.
Well, isn't it wrong when you stop somebody from doing what they want to do, no matter what?
Well, they were protesting.
Yeah, peacefully.
The act of stealing the spaceship, the act of not stopping for the recognized authority within the area and then being beamed aboard. That's all part of the protest.
Yeah, because immediately in the transporter room, I feel bad for Scotty. Clearly his maturity and his establishment persona is gravely affected by what he sees. And they immediately drop to the floor and begin to protest, saying they will not go. I don't know where they were not going to go, because it was the transporter room or Oblivion, but they say they're not going to go, and they begin to chant.
Well, that's what you do.
Why does chanting bother me so much?
Why does it bother you? I can't answer that.
When a group starts chanting, no matter what it is,
it hits me.
It bothers me.
It hits me two ways. And they're both bad. First, it's childish.
Absolutely childish.
Second, it's the mob. It's the mob mentality. When you have a bunch of people chanting and tensions begin to rise, it either way, it's not good. It's on the low end. On the low end, it's childish and immature, and on the high end, it's a group of people getting riled up in incitement and probably on its way to violence.
Mob rule.
Mob rule.
It's the start of mob rule. The chant is the start of mob rule. Yeah. It works everybody up to a frenzy.
Yes.
To act where they would not act independently because logic would take effect.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go. Protests.
Protests
that you were pulled over by the man.
Defund Starfleet.
For driving while hippie.
Defund Starfleet.
Right.
Make a run around a shuttlecraft.
Right. They want to protest.
Take their phasers away from them.
They were driving while being a hippie, and they were unduly impounded or incarcerated in their mindset.
You know, a lot of the things that Kirk is written to do, I get. But in this case, I guess it's because Starfleet has told him it's an ambassador's son.
This is pure politics.
Yeah, because
it's pure politics.
Why is he going down there?
It's pure politics.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just like it's another stolen ship. It's like the Somali pirates attacking an aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, you know, okay, do we catch him? Okay, put him in the brig.
Yeah,
we didn't catch him. Okay, they won't go. Let's keep going on. It just seems like, but the good part of the writing is that they put Kirk there for a reason, and that reason is he explains what I would like to do to you.
Yes,
I can't.
What I should do to you.
Right.
Because this was another one of those times, my initial reaction, even though the writer covered it, even though they tell you why these constraints exist, which is good writing, I'm just sitting there like, no way, throw these jokers in the brig. This can only end badly.
But see, the story can't happen, and they need the story to happen. They need to have the foil against the 1960s to show the public. They're using this as a foil. And we can look at it at 2021 and see the same foil, because we're in a similar type of circumstance
as
the 1960 riots. So they have to put constraints on Kirk, which are political constraints, because the world that this young boy's from, his father's an ambassador, and we need good relationship with this world for Federation reasons.
Yes.
So that
the treaty has to happen.
That ties Kirk's hands from the full extent of the law falling on these people. So that gives you an opportunity for them to do their machinations, when normally you be clank, you be behind the glowing lights.
Behind the force field?
Yeah, you'd be behind the force field.
Right. So they're in the transporter room staging their sit-in, saying they will not go. And Spock shows up, and he apparently gets the movement. He understands.
No, Kirk's on a bridge, and Kirk goes down there.
Right.
Kirk and Spock goes down there, and Kirk tries to reason with them first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if he reasons with him. He tells, I think it's the Catalan ambassador's son. He goes, listen, I've been given orders to treat you with kid gloves, because right now the Federation is in negotiations with your planet, and it's in a critical phase. And so I'm going to have to treat you as guests. And they're like, no, go.
And they're calling him Herbert.
Yeah.
Well, first he tells them all the violations they've done. Stealing a Star Cruiser, reckless endangerment in essence.
Trying to start an intergalactic incident by crossing into the Romulan neutral zone.
So he tells them all the consequences that he should be facing, but because of political reasons, because of your daddy, I'm not gonna do to you what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how protesting works. You get a mass group of people together, which overloads the system, and they're allowed to get away with things that normally they should be thrown in the clink for.
Only if they have the right connections.
Well, if you get enough people, you have too many people to incarcerate.
Oh no, you don't.
Well, history would support Captain Daystrom.
Absolutely.
Right.
Recent history supports my theorem.
We're coming at the same idea from different angles. What's happened recently is largely due to political influence on the situation.
Political influence as well as a multitude of people. But so he tells them, the situation, this is a situation, you should be under these charges, but I'm not. I'm going to treat you as ambassadors. I'm going to treat you as a guest and try to we're going to try to deal with the situation as best possible.
Right, and the plan is just to take them all to back to their respective homes and let them deal with the consequences when they get there.
Take them to Starbase, and then from Starbase for them to be disseminated to their respective homes.
Right.
And Kirk gets nowhere with the mob.
No, Kirk gets called Herbert.
In this scenario, we have a classic look at authority, which Starfleet represents. The direct authority, which is the captain of the vessel. Life and death is in Kirk's hands. You have the political overmasters that are in the background that Kirk responds to, and you have the disinfected or the disinfected mob.
Disaffected?
Disaffected mob. These are the three groups that we're looking at. What Kirk should do but can't do because of political concerns, and what the disinfected mob wants but has no right to.
Okay.
Their protest is that their protest being stopped. Being detained. But why were they detained? Because they stole a starship. He just bought a starship and went. Nobody would have stopped them.
They even said, we don't recognize your authority. And he goes, whether you recognize the authority or not.
Right.
I'm it.
Well, he also says...
I'm Herbert.
He also... Yeah. Well, what I found interesting is he's talking to Dr. Sevrin.
He doesn't know it's Dr.
He doesn't know Dr. Sevrin yet.
He just knows this guy's supposed to stood up as a leader.
Yeah. The guy with the elephant ears. Sevrin tells him when he tells him he almost started an intergalactic incident by crossing into Romulan territory, he responds by saying, we don't recognize hostility. And I thought that was just interesting because it's like, oh, you're just going to pretend hostility doesn't exist. But
a lot of people don't believe biology exists.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
And then Spock walks up and goes.
That's what I was getting to. Spock knows who these people are, and he throws the one sign at them. Mm-hmm. And they...
I thought this would be one, but what do I know? I'm not a writer.
Well, at least it's not Instagram heart hands.
Yeah, right.
No, it's all in the unity.
But this is a zero to me.
No, it's the unity.
That's the unity?
It's the unity. From another property.
I prefer this.
The unity.
I prefer this.
We're all one.
I prefer this. But
isn't that from Big Trouble in Little Chinatown?
That is.
I don't know what it means.
Big Trouble in Little China.
But it was always what they...
When the black blood of the earth doesn't get you.
That's right.
It's all good.
That means it's all good.
It's all good.
All good.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China was
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah.
Well put together.
I'd rather
John
be trekking.
Carpenter.
I'd rather be trekking on the Pork Chop Express right now than dealing with
No, let's look at
Dystrom's favorite episode.
I know you hate it. I know you hate it, but let's slowly pull it apart for what it was meant to be.
Yeah,
A social
yes.
commentary.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what it was meant to be.
Absolutely.
Star Trek has done it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have a social commentary that directly reverberates against
69.
1969 and 2021.
Yes.
Right.
They're parallel,
And 2020.
and they're paralleled so good. The cop pulls them over, and they're upset because they got stopped for driving a stolen car.
Right.
For blowing up a stolen
And
car.
then instead of acknowledging that they're wrong, they protest that they were unduly stopped
And prevented from going to where they
and
wanted to go.
held. And held.
Including crossing a border illegally. Which would have had repercussions.
Because they don't. You know what came to mind is the free traveler people.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys know what the free travelers are, but
I do not.
There's a movement who don't believe you need driver's license, and they drive without a driver's license. They get the ticket. They go to court and they fight it, and the government really doesn't do anything to them because technically they're right and technically they're wrong.
It's a constitutional matter.
It's a constitutional matter.
If you live in the United
But there's
States.
individuals who don't believe the government has the right to force you to have a driver's license.
If you don't live in the United States, don't try this at home. You might get hurt.
So this reminds me of this episode.
Remember the guy that went to North Korea on a tour, and he took down a propaganda poster?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he wound up dead.
No, they caned him.
He died.
He came back in a coma,
He died.
and then he died in the
okay.
hospital.
They beat him into a coma while they had him and then sent him home to his mom.
the other example was there was this young couple, and they were riding bicycles across the planet.
Yeah.
They're talking about how wonderful the world is and everything.
Yeah,
Did they
yeah.
go into Afghanistan?
They went to Afghanistan
Never came back.
and
No.
they were murdered.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They went to
Well,
Afghanistan and never came back.
The car or the truck or something passed them, then turned around and came and hit them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were killed.
But they were blogging and everything and talking about, the world is this, the world is that, and it's like it's not. It's not.
No.
Yea, brother.
That is the mindset of the hippie. That's the mindset of that the world is every peace and joy. We don't agree with your
A certain kind of idealist or the
it's
activist.
the activist, the idealist activist.
Yeah.
That the world is peace and harmony,
Or that.
and you can will it to be so.
Yeah. Instead of dealing with the
It
realities.
makes me think about the couples who went to they went into a bear cave in the winter, and the bears ended up waking up and killing them.
Yeah.
It's
I remember
Wow.
that.
or young girls who decide that they're going to hike across, they're going to go to a foreign country by themselves and hike and do whatever, and they never heard from again.
Yeah. Let's get back in. Get back to eating.
So you have the individuals who are fighting against the power, and the power is Starfleet.
They're trying to project their reality
Right.
onto a world that is
Already said.
cold
Completely
and indifferent.
Completely different.
Yep.
Cold and indifferent. Now, I'm not saying that people are. I'm not saying that faith and religion and everything. I'm not saying anything about that. But I'm just saying if you stand in the world,
At a macro level, the world is a rough place.
it's a cold and indifferent world that you live in.
Even in Utopia Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Well, that's the whole
It's
point I'm
not
making.
utopia.
Well, a lot of us look at it. A lot of people look at it and
That's
believe,
more
and be-
later.
and believe that Star Trek is utopia.
The original
It is-
series didn't push that idea.
Right? It's a cold and harsh world.
But I think it's inherited it. I mean, it has to accept. It has to take the responsibility of it. And the first incarnation of that Star Trek universe, there's not a barrier that stops that perception anymore. if you people that come to it now and see it, they don't. You're right, but it doesn't. It can't be thought that way anymore. No one is accepting that anymore.
The harshness.
I think what people miss when they watch the old series is that while mankind as a species has worked out most of their problems, not all, most, they've moved on to the bigger challenge of a universe that is still a hard place to be and is still a dangerous place to be.
But I still think there's a Cold War component to Roddenberry's piece.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not that, they threw all the weapons away
No,
and
no,
they're
no,
just
no.
living on a beach in harmony.
Challenges exist.
What happened is that now we have weapons that if we don't behave ourselves, we're all dead. I always thought that.
So it's a mass. It's mutual destruction.
Well, the Federation was is sort of like, to me, the way that and once again, I'm the first person to say I don't fully understand the depth of most of what is meant when it comes to certain genres of entertainment. I love when you guys talk about comic books, but I've never really read them.
Yeah.
I love the stories and the way that you guys tell them. The same thing with this, but it's like, to me, is the Federation is armed to the teeth.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Has
and
to be.
it's so it's like, we're all we're evolving and we're peace loving, but we'll still kill you.
This is a Star Trek truism.
That's an acceptance of reality.
This
in
is
the way
the
I
Star
see it.
Trek truism, and we dealt with it before when we dealt with Mirror Mirror. The civilization that totally accepts peace is destroyed.
Right, the Hulkins.
It's a Star Trek truism. Federation ships, explorer ships are armed to the teeth because whatever I face, I need to be able to overcome it. It might not be another human race. It might be a doomsday machine. I've got to be capable of overcoming it. And we have this episode of these peaceniks who are enjoying the fruit of a civilized galaxy, but have no way to keep it that way, and will inevitably lose it if they get their right to do what they want.
What would a Romulan cruiser with a captain do with them?
Would it just? I would have spaced them.
I had that thought. If the Enterprise hadn't caught them or just let them go, they'd have crossed into Romulan space. You find out, we haven't gotten very far, but you find out later in the episode they really didn't know where they were going. They thought they did. And they would have crossed into Romulan space, been picked up by a Romulan cruiser, and probably destroyed on the spot.
I don't think they would have picked them up. I think they would have just blasted them.
That's what I mean. They would have been destroyed on the spot. They would have been intercepted and destroyed. They would have died.
So they only survive because they're playing against the rules of a society that values life.
Yes.
And if they're faced with a society that doesn't value life, ergo communism or socialism to a point, you'll be totally wiped out. People push for an ideal, but the truth of that ideal will destroy them. So
if the ideal is not grounded in reality.
Even if it is grounded in reality.
Practical, applicable reality.
No, if I'm a tyrant, it's grounded in my reality that I don't care about you and I'm gonna wipe you out.
No, you're missing what I'm saying, but go ahead.
Okay, maybe you need to say it a different way so I can catch the inference that you're putting on it.
The idea that they want to put forth is not rooted in reality, in that it's not workable in the reality of the world they live in.
It's not workable according to human nature. That's what you're saying.
Or just in the world they live in, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this has a lot to do with privilege too. So it's like,
right.
Let's just say that this group of 6 people, their motive is to go to Eden and enjoy paradise. Why did they get to do that?
Because they're rich enough not to have to work.
Well,
no, because
because if
they
you think
believe,
about it, if you were truly altruistic and you were talking about one and brotherhood and all the rest of that stuff, you want to find Eden for everyone,
right?
Well,
don't you? Shouldn't you?
Yeah, we should. You should, but the dirty secret underlining this is their leader,
right,
who has ulterior motives that the rest of the group don't know.
How strange is that?
They bought into him,
Right,
what he's told them,
They've been misled.
but he's misleading them for his own benefit.
And we just
They're believing everything. They're drinking the Kool-Aid,
it's chaos on
And
Men
he-
in Trek as we have hopscotched all over this episode.
and he's leading them. Well,
No,
let's
no,
go
we're
ahead.
good. No,
So
we're
so
good. We're good.
Kirk tries to deal with them, and he can't get through because Kirk is Herbert. He is the man. He is a representation of the machine, the authority, and they will hear nothing, no matter how logical Kirk tries to be or how moderate Kirk tries to be.
Right.
They will not hear him, and so he turns to Spock and says, "You seem to understand these guys. You talk to them." And Spock comes up with the
Spock knows who they are and what they're about.
peace, brother. We're one. And the guy goes, "Are you one, Herbert?" And Spock goes, "I'm not Herbert." The guy goes, "Oh,
It's like,
let's
oh,
say,
you reach
dig
it. You
dig
reach
it."
us.
Right?
You reach us.
Yeah. We reach each other, however they
Yeah.
say it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so Spock
Can You Dig It is another movie.
Spock says, "Perhaps we can arrive at a mutual understanding."
Right.
Well, what type of wording is that? That's not the wording from authority. There is no you need to understand that I got the power and we're going to do what I say. But Spock comes at it from a mutual understanding.
Right.
Meaning you have an opportunity and I have
Well,
an
and then
opportunity.
Spock gives an excuse later on. He says, the reason Kirk says we have sympathy for him. He goes, no, I don't have sympathy for him. He goes, I know what it's like to be an alien living in a society. He's trying to say, I get.
He empathizes with them.
Yeah.
they're oddballs and I was an oddball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still is.
Yeah. And it's not just him being a Vulcan among humans, it's being a half human, half Vulcan. Yeah.
Yeah, among his own people.
Among his own people.
He's an oddball among his own people, and these guys are oddballs, rejects.
But let's not forget Jake's favorite part.
Which
Because
part
when they
is that?
come aboard the ship and they hear the chanting of the people, Chekov recognizes a voice. And little Pavel, yes. Little Pavel Chekov recognizes his long-lost pal, Aranya.
You know what? They had, this episode was how many minutes long? 55 or something?
Yeah, just about.
Okay, they
50.
had 87 minutes of dialogue. And I still don't know what the relationship was about.
Chekov's a beta. That's what the relationship
No, I
is about.
get what the relationship was about. They were sweethearts at the academy.
I didn't get that they were
They were
sweethearts.
sweethearts at the academy, and she bailed on him. She left the academy. She left him, and he didn't understand why.
I for the
He went and
longest,
looked for her.
Yes,
Well, he's-
she ghosted him.
I thought for the longest time that they were like brother and sister or something.
Oh, they
That's-
made
when I was a-
him,
when
they
I
made
was a
him look
kid.
the same.
When I was a kid, that's what I initially thought, that they were.
No,
brother
they
and
were
sister.
they were together at the academy, and she bailed.
I'm saying
I know.
as a kid, that's what I thought, because the relationship doesn't come off as real mutual attraction. It comes off, he's attracted to her, but she ain't attracted to
Well,
him.
he's this jilted lover. Like from
Yeah,
right
he's
out
hurt.
the gate,
He's
he's
hurt.
like he's very painful and pathetic, and Walter Koenig does a wonderful job.
Of being a beta.
Oh yeah, like just his I went to look for you.
I looked for you.
I look for you.
Where did you go? And she's like, I
I
went to
went-
the city
I
you
went to the
nitwit.
city to stay with friends.
I went to the city you nitwit, and hooked up
what
with
city?
and hooked up with
You
a
know,
girl.
it's like, were they on the farm? No, they were supposed to be in the academy.
Well, we know where the academy is, so we
Yeah, she went to
San Francisco.
San Francisco to stay with some friends.
Just had some rice-a-roni and she disappeared.
Yeah,
She-
but
she-
why? She wasn't upset about it.
No, she did.
She was dropping out of the academy. It had nothing to do with Chekov.
This is a Forrest Gump situation where she just bails and
She ghosted him. Yeah, she bailed.
I think
out.
it was all one sided. I think Chekov was like
smitten.
stalking her, and she was probably just like, "Let's go for drinks," and then she never showed up.
No, they had something. Now, rather not she felt like he did, because he kind of insinuates that she did not, and she's like, "No, don't say that."
He's like, "I was scared for you,
Yeah,
but you don't care for me."
But she was in Starfleet, and she was supposedly a scientist.
training to be a science officer or something.
Mhm.
So not a dumb girl.
No,
But she's bought it. She's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones style.
Mm.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
She is. No, literally Jim Jones style. I mean, she's gonna die.
Did you see where Kirk puts his hand on Chekov? He's like,
Yep.
"Do you want to go talk to her?"
Now that to
See,
me,
that's not Kirk.
that to me bothered me. It's like last thing in the world you want to do. You got these people on the ship, and one of your crewmen turns out to know one of them, and he's clearly not good with it. Last thing you want to do is like you want to get in close proximity to this problem. You want to get down there and deal with her.
No. What's funny is when Kirk comes back to the bridge and he's talking to Chekov, Chekov goes, I at least recognize her voice. And he gives her name. And then Kirk's response, he goes, we were in Starfleet Academy together. And Kirk goes,
that was in
one of those
was in Starfleet? Yeah.
One of those was in Starfleet Academy?
Yeah.
Kirk has zero regard for them.
Well, at least he's using a proper pronoun.
Zero.
Those. They.
Kirk has zero regard for these people.
Oh,
They're below.
phaser Jake for that. No, but yeah, he's like one of those knuckleheads was in Starfleet. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and and that's when he tells her, you wish to see her.
But that, to parallel what you're talking about, you see that. You see otherwise intelligent, gifted people get caught up in things like this because their idealism overshadows
Reality.
the reality.
If Irina was working 80 hours a week in a shirt factory,
Yeah.
I doubt if she'd have the time to, head out with the Brotherhood.
No, it's
Idealism requires resources.
yeah,
Yes,
it
leisure time.
It requires privilege,
Mhm.
Yeah. Real privilege.
real privilege. You have opportunity to sit there and bemoan how hard life is.
And be
The
wrong.
cats who really live in a hard life don't have time for that because they're working
Listen,
for the daily bread.
A dude that walks around with a guitar in his hand 24/7 and pantyhose. I don't know what he's not loading a truck.
He wasn't wearing panties. He was just wearing his thigh-high boots.
Thigh highs.
Thigh-high boots.
Oh,
It was the 60s.
I told you this would be a great episode to talk
Maybe
about.
as a child, I think I was like,
I don't know if great's the word I'd use.
I was just sitting there, just like crying, looking at.
It's not a great episode for track. It's a great episode for men on track.
Well, we'll see.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is an opinion. But
So Chekov goes to see her.
Chekov goes to see her. But that was my one hitch in this. Is like, why would Kirk do that? Why would Kirk send him down?
Well, the
there?
story needed it, right?
Yeah,
That's always what we fall back on.
I guess.
It gives you somebody in the crew who's attached
A personal
to
connection.
a person who's needs an intervention.
I think DC Fontana and them, they knew they weren't going to be renewed at this point. And they were like,
This is
who
late.
haven't we given some screen time to?
This
They're
is
like,
late in season 3.
Yeah, maybe we have a Chekov love story because that's what everyone wants to see is a Chekov love story.
And how many people have regarded themselves as alien in their own world?
Well, everybody goes through a phase where you feel like the outsider.
I never did.
I think.
Did you?
No.
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 So it's not everybody.
Well, I think most people go through a period of
I
time,
think
a
most
short
people
period of
do.
time.
Yeah, I believe that.
I think most people go through a period of time, however short, where you feel like you don't fit, whatever that means.
Then you make your own world.
Yeah,
Mm.
some people do.
Then you start putting parameters on your own world. And you look at that guy and go,
Or you
you
learn,
don't have color yet.
or you learn to fit. You either
No.
you either no, you're right. It's one or two people. You either go your own way, you make your own world, or you fit. You mold yourself to fit into what you think is everybody else is doing. Right. You're going one or two ways.
Right.
You're going one or two ways.
Yeah.
But
So Chekov goes down to talk to her, and we get the little Chekov love scenario.
let's not forget all that awesome singing.
Oh my.
Just oodles and oodles.
Brother.
That's one thing Star Trek does not do well. I don't ever remember an episode where the singing was good. I just don't.
So Chekov goes to talk to her.
Chekov goes to talk to
and
her.
he goes into the room, and all the other people there, but his girl is missing.
Yeah.
And the guy goes,
She's getting checked out.
she's getting checked out by Dr. McCoy.
Gonna crack my knuckles and jump for joy. I got a clean bill of health from Dr. McCoy.
Yeah. and there's Adam, our resident guitarist, who gets more time in this episode than anybody else.
It was like Gary Oldman in like his first like dozen movies that I saw him in, he played these
Swarmy.
just
Despicable.
oh man, what was that one movie where it's like Feed the Hole and then
Romeo's Bleeding.
Romeo's
I
Bleeding,
love that movie.
and then The Professional,
Yeah.
you know, like get everyone, who's everyone, like I hated Gary Oldman,
But that's because
Hated him.
this episode is Gary Oldman. You hate it because it's so well executed.
Oh my God! Just his smile. Like,
This
he was
episode-
just like,
This episode is Gary Oldman.
Well, this actor did his job.
oh, he did. Oh, to this
I
day.
despise you.
Crack my knuckles and jump for joy. I got a clean bill of health from Dr. McCoy.
I remember being
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, and nothing in the episode up to this point gives you any reason not to like these people, but I hated these people.
Right.
There was just something that was just like,
Well,
this is wrong. They're not.
they're going against the authority that you, up to yet for two seasons, have accepted are true and good.
It wasn't that.
The crew of the Enterprise has always tried to do what's right.
It wasn't that.
They've always done it in the good of the overall society. And now you have these people who are bucking the system.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I just
can
think,
I just space them?
I just think-
Can I space them?
I just-
Palpatine?
I just think I thought they were dumb. It just was like, what are you doing?
But what do you think when you're driving your car and some protesters are blocking the middle of the street?
Yeah, well, they're knuckleheads too. There's a way to protest and there's a way not to protest, as far as I'm concerned. But
So Chekov goes in, and the guy makes a statement about the clean bill of health, and they've all got a checkup.
But if you catch something here when Aranya does show up, they are immediately sizing Chekov. Chekov up.
They're zooming on him.
There's no dialogue. It's just they surround him and they go to Aranya like, who's this guy? And she goes, this is Chekov. And they're like,
and that's the
"Oh."
part that I wasn't able to put my finger on as a kid, but I knew that it made me feel very uncomfortable. Is that it's not that they're really just like, like, hey brother, and that like that. As
They
soon as
got
you're out of the
ulterior
room, they're
motives.
like, yeah, we can get these three guys to help us kill people. It's like
Well,
it was
yeah,
this
eventually.
malicious sort of pretend to be something
It
you're
gives
not.
off that cult theme.
Absolutely, cult is the perfect word.
When Chekov and her get together,
Yeah.
and the rest
Yeah.
of the cult come in to
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
he's not pulling her out.
Yeah.
They're going to pull him in. They zoom in, and Chekov looks at him like,
Like-
"Yo, man, get back up, give me some room."
like some groups do today, where they don't let their members have objective conversations with other people because, they might hear the truth or something.
Yep. So Chekov takes her out so that he might have a conversation with her, and then he goes through all his stuff with her.
Yeah, he's crying. The thing that struck me funny when they're in the hallway talking is all the people that are gawking at Chekov. The other crew members are gawking at Chekov like, oh, look at Chekov.
Yeah, this is what you like,
Oh,
baby?
look at Chekov.
This red shirt comes in.
Yeah.
And he's
Just totally
look at his
stops.
red shirt, and he's 6'5" or something, and they're like, "Oh, the little man is getting some time with it,
Oh,
with a beam aboard."
Little Pavel's
Pavel.
got himself a girlfriend. Oh. That's why I like.
And then what does Pavel do? He scurries.
He
He
runs.
scurries into a room with her.
Red shirts.
I think that is supposed to be his quarters?
No, that's just some room.
Wow.
Red shirts. Yeah.
It's one of your men, Admiral.
Absolutely. Making you uncomfortable on board ship is one of our many gimmicks.
Here's this big line.
Pavel.
Why did you go away? Why
Yeah.
did you go away?
Yeah, the writing regarding their
It's
relationship
you who went
is terrible.
away. Why did you hate me? It's you that hates
Well,
me.
what doesn't?
Why weren't you there? It is you that wasn't there.
What makes it tough is nobody involved is Russian, and no, and those Russian accents are like, but yeah. So yeah,
So he has a conversation with her. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the conversation between him and her. They go back out, and then the masses are rushing sick bay.
No,
And security's
they're
holding
They're
holding
having
them
a
back.
peaceful protest.
No, the security's they're trying to get into sick
Peaceful
bay.
protest.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
They didn't throw any Molotov.
And
cellars.
CNN says there was mostly
nurse
peaceful.
name? I always forget her name. Nurse
Ran.
Chapel.
Chapel's out there pushing on them.
Yeah.
Chapel's had enough of it. And then she says, I thought all the animals were kept in cages. That
Yeah.
was her line.
Yeah.
I thought all
She's
the
part of the
animals were
power.
kept
She's
in
evil.
cages.
Chapel's evil. She's
She
part of the
represents.
system.
She represents the authority.
She represents the authority.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call authority nowadays?
I don't know. There's a couple names. Which one you talking about? I genuinely do not know.
Arthur's giving us the warning.
Oh no. Oh no.
Audio Arthur has got a lot of work cut out for him.
No.
This
This
episode.
this episode is gonna put us right back up there like what Doomsday Machine did for us. It's gonna get us there.
Oh.
It's gonna get us there.
So they're trying to get back in because Dr. Soren is now.
Wait. What's that? What's that, dear listener? You haven't heard Doomsday Machine? You don't know what happened on the Doomsday? Well, you need to go back and
Find out why we
find
were
out what
blocked.
happened on Doomsday Machine.
Click the link, right?
Okay.
Here.
Click the link up there.
Click the link.
Look,
Oh, no, I already placed it. Now I have
Look
to
up.
put 2 links. Oh, 3
Look up.
links. All right.
The link.
just the shower links around cover our faces with links. Anyway, continue. Shameless plug for Doomsday Machine. A far more entertaining episode than this.
I don't think so, but nonetheless.
See,
Not-
he did admit it. He likes this episode more than Doomsday Machine.
No,
Got
I'm
you.
not
Got
saying.
you on videotape.
That's you in video.
Got you on videotape.
In
saying,
post audio,
Once-
Arthur, I want you to when he says it, zoom in on him and then repeat it,
One-
and then zoom in on him again.
Once again, like CNN, you're taking me out of context. Stop taking me out of context.
My apologies.
So,
My apologies.
So they're trying.
Don Lemon is
so-
crying over your decision.
So they're trying to get into sick bay. They're Chapel and the security are fighting him off. Pavel comes over to help fight him off, and then Kirk comes in, and Nurse Chapel makes her statement about animals, and then Kirk's like, "What's going on, McCoy?" And McCoy starts to tell him that Sevrin has a bug.
Yes.
What's the bug?
What's the bug?
Isn't it Synthococcus Novae?
Synthococcus Novae.
There you go.
And it is because
This is what you've been waiting for.
it is caused by the Federation's
Tell us, Dr. Dystrom. Tell us. Give us your
the
prognosis.
Federation's control of atmospheres to an unnatural degree. They purified their atmosphere to such a degree that this virulent strain,
You mean like when we killed 99% of all germs?
have arisen in certain individuals, and it's a very deadly virus
Yes.
caused by Federation control,
Caused by a lack of natural irritants in the
caused by
atmosphere.
lack of natural irritants in the
Well,
human
at one
body.
point, Sevrin says your computers created this.
Well,
Well, he's talking about the
that's-
technology, I think.
Yeah, he's
John.
talking about it's still Federation control.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Federation is not as peaceful as you might want to think.
Well, it comes with a price.
Yeah.
The advancement of society comes with a price.
Yeah. Certain
And-
individuals are going to be
And the Federation has controlled the atmosphere
on their planets.
on all the planets within Federation space.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't believe they're going to let you join Federation space with the Federation without accepting some of the rules and regulations that go along with it.
You get a free weather machine in a blender.
So Sevrin has this disease in his body. Not only is he in his body, as McCoy points out, he's typhoid Mary. He's not affected by it,
But he's a carrier.
but he's a carrier, and it's deadly. And it's deadly to anybody he comes in contact with.
If they have not been properly inoculated.
So Kirk first asks, what about the crew? He said, well, the crew has their batteries. Had their batteries.
He said the crew got Pfizer.
Yeah.
The crew had their batteries of shots before they came on.
Crew got Pfizer.
And they're probably going to need update boosts.
Not Moderna.
Moderna.
They're probably going to need
Just-
update boost. And I guess his people have had theirs too.
But as McCoy points out, it takes continuous treatment to stay immune to this thing.
Mm-hmm. You need to have boosters.
And Dr. Sevrin knows he has it.
But he goes into complete denial, saying, "I do not accept your prognosis. I do not accept what you're saying.
I do not accept the science.
I do not accept your science."
Yeah.
Goes.
So we've gone from social commentary of protesting to what?
He goes full science denier.
CV-19. Star Trek might as well be Nostradamus for how accurate this stuff is.
Well, no, bad history repeats itself.
They created it, right? Just like some place in China.
Well, they didn't create it. They created the conditions that brought it up. Well, on that note, thank you. On that note, progress. Let's talk about progress.
Let's talk about it.
2 weeks ago, what you just said would have got us banned on YouTube, but now it's okay.
Because now it's proven true that it was created someplace in China.
Well, some emails came out, and now everybody's cool with it. Yeah, so
emails
it's
telling
okay.
us that a certain person knew it.
Sevrin, Dr. Sevrin denying the truth of the science, not the other guy denying the
God,
truth
I
of the
hate
science.
science deniers.
That's a loaded statement.
Yeah.
So Kirk is dealing with Severance and McCoy, and Severance is like, "We're going to Eden, and it's our right to go to Eden." And McCoy goes, "Ain't gonna be nobody on Eden because you're gonna kill them all.
Right. There'll be anybody left to bury you.
Not enough to bury one another.
Right.
This thing you have will kill." And Severance goes off on a tangent because in his mind it was created through the environmental controls of the Federation. So
I can understand why he's upset.
Sure.
But as the episode goes along, what you begin to understand, because it's told to you, is that he has a physical ailment, but he also has a mental ailment.
Right, and his response to what has happened to him is essentially to take a bunch of people down with him.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
It's a selfish act.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's going to go to a planet, and if the planet has life, he's going to kill them, although he's telling himself that it's all a lie and they won't die. Mm-hmm. And the people he's taking with him will kill him. And when Spock has a conversation with him, Spock goes back to Kirk and goes, "He's insane."
Right.
Because of the same scenario. Spock tries to talk to him about what you're doing. Can we reason together? And this guy can't be reasoned with. And
he's trying to manipulate Spock.
And as I said at the beginning, the rest of the useful idiots, the rest of the hippies,
that is the term,
don't know what Severance is really doing.
Right.
Well, you can tell almost. There's another scene where Kirk's trying to reason with them, like hostage negotiation. He's trying to talk to one of the hostage takers, not the head hostage taker. He's saying, "Look, you." And even Spock says, go to the terminal in front of you and read up on him or something. And their response is that Sevrin at some point was like, "Listen, we're gonna meet up to a Herbert. He's gonna tell you I'm crazy.
Right?
Ain't that crazy?"
Right. Yeah, they're like, "Forget you, man. We don't want to hear what you have to say."
That's what Herbert does, man. That's how they divide us and break us apart. They're gonna tell these lies about me, and it's like,
that's the tragedy.
Don't fall for it.
That's the tragedy when you try to show somebody the factual truth of something and they won't hear it.
People don't listen to facts. They listen to what they want to hear, and they accept what they want to hear over whatever facts you might produce. So Kirk's trying to reason with them. McCoy makes a statement.
Don't forget, from Spock's conversation, Sevrin agrees to talk to the others and tell them to relax and stop making trouble because they're wandering all over the ship.
Well, before we get to that point, McCoy says he needs to be isolated,
right,
because of this virus,
right.
And Sevrin flips out.
Why? He's got a quarantine.
Why? Because he thinks he looks at it as, I'm being wrongly imprisoned.
Right, you're gonna prevent me from doing what I want to do.
I'm being wrongly imprisoned for something you gave me. You infected me, and now you're going to imprison me. You're going to take away my freedom.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna lock you up because you got a bug. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like something we just went through. What doesn't it?
Except they had way better reasons to do it to him.
Damage.
Oh my God, this episode has so much in it.
We're getting bad.
This episode has so much in it. So they quarantine him, and the rest of the hippies go on their
But
mostly peaceful protest.
at this point,
No, it's sedition. They're
yeah,
spreading
at this point it's
sedition.
sedition.
Yeah.
They're fanning out over the ship, trying to identify who they can manipulate, learning about how the ship works, including dear dumb Chekov, explaining the whole thing.
Well, Sulu gets the little hallway treatment.
Yeah,
She's like, "Think, young brother," and he goes, "You make it tempting."
I was ashamed when Sulu took that little pet rock from her.
That's
Oh,
right.
he handed it back real quick when Kirk came on. Like, what you doing there, Sulu?
Kirk's like, "Explain." He's like, "I don't have an explanation." This is the first pretty girl I've talked to. It's like, it's-
Thinking with the auxiliary bridge, sir. Handing back the rock. Yes, sir.
There is that underlying control that the Starfleet officers have to maintain. And then you have the complete opposite. You have the hippie group, the peace, love, nicks, who will never produce anything, who will never further society, can only exist in a society that has enough control to keep things safe. Like I said, back to Mirror Mirror. Those societies that lay down their weapons and start peacenicking die. They just die. They can't survive.
Well, somebody
In the Star Trek universe and in reality.
somebody took a saying and twisted it and said those that beat their swords into plowshares will find themselves under the yoke of those that kept their swords.
Well, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Generally is
God notwithstanding,
It is generally the facts.
the people who have the armament will win. And the better the armament, the greater chance of winning. That's why why the West was won from the Indians. Why? Better armament, right?
Essentially. Yeah.
Whoever. That's why nations
In numbers.
we talk about the race, military race, or the race for greater weapons.
Arms race.
Arms race. It has always existed. Why do you go from leather armor to chainmail? From chainmail to Maximilian armor? Because you're always advancing, making better and better defenses because the weapons are getting what? Better and better. I got chainmail, so what? I got a longbow. Okay, you got a longbow, I'm making plate mail. Okay, you got plate mail, I'm making a crossbow. Okay, I'm going to Maximilian armor, I'm making a gun. It just keeps going and going. Mm-hmm. The cat that goes, I'm not fighting. Okay, you're my slave then.
You got a castle, I got cannons. No more castles.
It's a continuation. The peaceniks are trying to push their ideology in a world that they did not create.
Well, they're not,
and can't maintain.
Well, again, they're not accounting for the reality.
And can't maintain. If the peaceniks got their way, guess what would happen? Romulans would come in and wipe them out. Klingons would come in and wipe them out.
No, Klingons like slaves. Klingons will not wipe them out. Klingons like slaves.
You have anything to add, Jake, or you think I'm on off base?
No, I think everybody would agree that you want to live in a peaceful world. That you don't want to live in a world where other people take things from other people, and that you dedicate so much of your time and resources to weapons to harm other people.
But you have to have authority. Defunding the police don't get you that.
Right. What I'm saying is that I think everyone wants to live in a world that's peaceful. But the world isn't peaceful.
So there's a saying,
not everybody's going to go along.
Hard times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men.
Weak men make hard times.
Weak men make hard times. To have a peaceful world, what did Reagan say? Peace through strength. You have to be able to maintain the peace to have peace. Peace just doesn't appear.
I think that the counter argument is that if everybody put their weapons down and you committed to just living in harmony, that's the ideal. That's the ideal. But what are the conditions that have to exist in order for you? It's like banning guns. If the only way that you're going to be gun free is you have to take guns away from people.
And even then you're not gun free, because people with guns got to take the guns.
Right.
And non-law abiding people are going to still have guns.
Right.
So the ideal to be achieved, everybody has to go along, and not everybody's going along.
So you have to disenfranchise the law abiding, because
in that scenario.
Well, the problem is the world has to operationalize reality.
Yes.
So it's like, yes, would I want to live in a world without murders and violent crimes and weapons that are used to destroy cities and everything? Of course I do, but I don't know how you do that. And here's what I'm gonna say. I don't think anybody does, because that's not how everyone lives. You've got locks on your doors. As
long as there's one person or group that won't go along with the program, you can't do it. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
And what do you do with that group then?
You have to defend yourself against them. And which brings you back to where you are. Yep. that's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
So Sevrin wants his freedom to go do what he wants to do, to hell with whoever he hurts. Including
the people that are following him, because he's in denial about what's going to happen when they get where they're going.
But he's a scientist. He's not a stupid man. He knows what he's carrying. Because he later on admits it in the episode that he knew he was a carrier. He knew what was going on.
Yeah,
he didn't care. He's going to go to a planet that has no medical facility. What's going to happen to his followers? Because they can't continue to get the booster shot.
Well, that's where Spock says he's insane, because what Sevrin says is the only way for me to be healed is to go amongst primitive people and let their primitiveness cure me. Right. You know, and that's where Spock is like, I'm going to step off the one boat here and say he's insane.
Right. Spock being Spock can stay objective and not be swayed emotionally, and can say, this man I admire and respect has lost it, and what he wants to do cannot be achieved.
I'm not sure it's so much admiring Severin's, admiring the ideal. Spock initially said
he admired the man that he was in terms of his scientific accomplishments, and he respected him. I shouldn't say he admired him because it's Spock, but he respected him because of his accomplishments as a scientist. They kind of get into that when they're given his bio and what have you.
So after Kirk leaves and they leave sick bay, and the one guy starts talking about bowing down and wagging tails like a dog and all that stuff, about bowing down to the authority. Kirk goes back, and then that's when Spock makes mention that he's insane, and he's like, "Well, how do we communicate? How do we communicate with these people? How do we do this?" And then Spock asks him a question. Or ask him, I promised them that I'll try to find Eden for them.
Right.
Will you give me permission to use the ship resources to do that? And Kirk's like, no big deal.
So I needed more. I needed more about that. So we praise the writing, and in this case, our vow is not to be negative, because there's a lot of YouTube channels that just rip things down. It's like I needed more. I need to know more about Eden.
It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
It does matter, because
it's not a MacGuffin because they give it to you.
If Spock is going to look for it, I need to know what are some of those parameters.
It does not matter. It's a MacGuffin. The reason I say that.
I disagree, because generally on a MacGuffin you'd never get it. And they at least do you the service of you get to eat.
No,
what they believe
it's busy. It's busy work. It's just something to keep the plot along. It's like in another franchise where I got the Jedi crystal and it leads me to this.
It could have been something as simple.
Not in this instance
It could have
because
been
it's been the focal point from the beginning.
It could be as simple as this. What do we know about eating Spock? The Clonarian legends say that it is a planet with 2 moons around an M-class star.
Oh, you want okay?
You
wanted more exposition.
Because
on
what is Spock sits in front of the computer and types in Eden? Like what? Give me something.
Chekov. You probably didn't hear it because Aranya was in the room and you were in pain.
Yeah.
Chekov gives you all that. He tells you the methodology he and Spock used to find the planet.
No, he says the computers know everything and what they
No, he tells you.
Oh, he does?
He tells you what he really does. And I hate to go back to the other franchise. Maybe the other franchise got it from here. He does the same thing a certain knight did to find a planet that wasn't in the charts.
The water planet?
Yeah. That, makes clones.
They were using planets that were already
gravitational charts
and checking the gravity.
Yeah.
From
Chekov lays it all out.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I guess
it's pretty good. It's pretty.
I guess I had it, but I had blacked out.
No, I'll forgive you. Yeah, I forgive you because Aranya was in the room and Chekov was crying, and you just didn't hear all.
Oh
that.
no, yeah, no, I was, yeah. Well, good for me, and good for all y'all. And
maybe, and maybe,
yeah, brother.
Stop, And maybe one day, if we get enough comments on it, maybe one day we'll show you video of Jake Palpatine writhing in agony as he watches Aranya.
You know what we should do? That's probably, I think people would find that interesting.
Manipulate
We
stuff.
should probably set up a couple of cameras when we're actually watching episodes.
We could just watch it here.
Yeah.
So the audience can watch us watching it.
No, I mean, in here we're working and we're trying to put it together. But I mean, we're
just watching it.
We're very relaxed when we're watching it. But I tell you,
I'm not. I'm taking notes.
I was squirming.
So what happens is after Spock talks to Kirk and they're protesting, mostly peaceful, and Spock goes to Severance and tries to talk to him and says,
Start a fire in the hallway.
Look, if you can get your people to calm down, we can probably get something done here.
Yeah.
And Severance goes, what every dictator or crazy manipulator says, I'm not in charge of them. They do what they want to do. And
Right.
Spock's like, come on, man. They listen to you. If you tell them to calm down, they'll calm down.
And Spock makes a good pitch. He says, so far, you're not criminals. And if you work with me, I'll go to bat for you and get you the rights to colonize this place if we can find it and yada, yada, yada. It's a good deal.
It's a good deal, but Severance...
Well, you have to be sane. I mean,
beyond sane, Severance already knows, because he is a well-known scientist, that he will never get the right to colonize because of the bug in his system.
Right.
He will never get the right to go to another planet
where the controls are not in place for him to not hurt people.
Right, because the Federation will not allow him to go to another planet and wipe out a civilization because of the bug he's carrying.
Right.
So he has to do, that's why he stole the ship. He has to do all this stuff under the table. He has a hardcore fitting on him. He has to do all this stuff under the table because he knows he's riding dirty.
Can we send him and Harcourt to City Alpha 5 and just be done with this?
Hardcore's got another episode.
Oh, yes. Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
We don't have to do it soon. We got to give Jake.
Why not?
We got to give
Let's
Jake.
just do it all.
We got to give Jake a chance to recoup.
No.
He's punch drunk now. He's good to go.
So Spock tries to reason with him.
The Grumps are with Miri.
Oh no!
Why is Miri with the Grumps?
See,
just do them all.
So this is where.
Well, yeah, we will.
When Spock's talking to Severance, that's when he admits that he knew he had the disease, and he knew that the Federation would never give him the right.
Well, this is what I don't understand, and once again, maybe I blacked out. Okay. Because what Sevrin is telling Spock is this: I'm not buying what you're selling because nobody's going to let me do this.
Right.
And Spock's like, well, will you still talk to your crew, even though you know and I know that what I'm selling you can't buy. And he's like, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll go ahead and talk to them, and winks at the camera.
Yeah, the point
Severin's
is,
lying at that
point is, if Sevrin was an honest guy an honest guy.
And sane.
It wouldn't be about him.
Sane
it would be
would help.
about his followers, getting them to Eden, right? Because his followers are not contaminated. His followers can go
Right.
if he was an honest guy, but he's not. He's a snake oil salesman. It's all about him.
This is Duke Leto. This is not Duke Leto. This is Leto II talking about charismatic leaders.
Yes.
Frank Herbert warned you against a guy like Sevrin because he never said I'm their leader, but he
Right.
sits there in the middle,
Yes.
and everybody looks at his charisma and his intelligence and this, that, and the other stuff.
Jim Jones.
And that's the danger of this because he's not there for anybody else but himself.
Jim Jones.
But the useful idiots don't know that.
And I think Jim Jones had just not too long ago happened when this.
And if
No, it was in the 80s.
and if
Well, I didn't think it was that long.
and if he was honest, he would say, "Yeah, we'll do it." But he agrees with Spock. Why? Because he's going to use this opportunity to subvert the crew
Take the ship.
and take the ship to the best of his ability. Coming in, talking peace, talking love, and subverting the authority thereof that he might take power for himself and not care about what happens to anybody else.
Well, a lot of people do that. They tell you they love you and then they hurt you.
But he's doing it in the name of
After
love
you-
and peace. It's different if I tell you,
After
"Oh,
you-
Arthur, I just hate your guts and I'm going to
after
take you out."
After you vote for him.
But then it's different if I do that and then I try to take you out. It's a whole nother thing if I go, "Oh, Arthur, I just love you. Did you get my last Christmas gift?" And then I try to take you out.
Don't believe him, Arthur.
It's two completely different things.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely.
So
One is honest hostility, and the other one's stabbed in the back.
he accepts Spock's offer, tells his people, chill down with the mostly peaceful protests and go along.
And
You might find information
and
that
scout out the ship and figure out how to get this done.
and that's what happens.
And this is why Chekov deserved to go in the brig, because he gives Arena the guided tour of the auxiliary control room and tells her, "Oh yeah, you can run the whole show from down here."
No, he wasn't. He was in the room, and I think
She comes in.
she comes in.
Jim Jones, 1978.
Oh, okay. I thought it was earlier than that.
So this is why I think Chekov never got promoted.
Well,
He gives the ship away.
I think if they knew the depths of what he done, it would have been worse than that.
He gives the ship away.
I don't think they fully understood that he went and you pushed this button.
wouldn't he take any VIP on a tour of auxiliary control and just explain it to them?
No.
Remember, she's not just anybody. She was a Starfleet.
All the more reason not to let her.
Accountant. She was a
All the
Starfleet.
more-
Well,
accountant.
she didn't even know what auxiliary control was.
She acted like she didn't.
Wow.
She did what every
I don't know.
She-
I was having trouble.
she did what every attractive person does at this moment. She looks at you and goes, "Can you show me how it works?" And he goes, "Sure." And he tells her everything.
When she bats her eyelashes at him, she's boring a hole in his head the way she's looking at
Yeah,
him.
she telling him. I
Does
love
that
you."
look like a couple that was serious at some point? No.
No, that looks like a beta who was biting on her hard and she was going about doing her own thing.
There's a
He can't even look at her.
there's a new term for you two old guys.
What's
Simp.
Oh, so that's the same as a beta.
What is a simp?
Simp. It's Chekov in this
Simpleton?
case. No, it might be a derivative of that, but it means it's
suck up.
it's what all the kids are saying now. It's a guy that just irrationally or a person just irrationally pursues another person, and there's no hope of them being with the other person.
Oh,
You know.
okay.
A beta.
Oh yeah, a beta would do that. Yeah,
A beta is a simp and a simp is a beta.
you probably are a beta if you are a simp, and if you are a simp, you probably are a beta.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I don't know.
So
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
the beta.
The beta or the simp?
There were eggs with dinosaurs, so eggs have been around.
Yeah, velociraptors.
Okay, so he
Chekov.
tells her what's going on, and then after that, the group comes back together. The women who went out.
A
Well,
simp.
don't-
Wait, now I have the Google dictionary.
The
It
herb-
says
the herb-
a simp is a silly or foolish person.
That's the
No,
more
that's
that's the more classical definition. You got to go like the Urban Dictionary.
So like when a girl,
Someone who does way too much for a
Let-
person they like.
Let somebody
That's the Urban Dictionary.
I got you.
let somebody in the age group tell you.
Okay.
Simp is an internet slang term describing someone who performs excessive sympathy and attention towards another person, typically someone who doesn't reciprocate the same feelings. This is usually done in pursuit of a sexual relationship.
Oh.
For example, like women that like stream or like YouTube chicks, like donating $500 to them because you're like,
Oh.
I like you. Those are simps.
Please
Okay.
reference Pavel Chekov.
People can donate money to our YouTube channel. I didn't know
Well, we
that.
could have a Patreon at some point.
Oh, that's right, Patreon.
But
That's
like
right. I am a
Twitch
Patreon. I do.
streaming.
I do. Yeah.
It depends on if you're willing to appear nude behind the paywall.
It wouldn't help us with him.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
we would definitely.
I think I could.
They would
you
probably
think I got
dock us
the-
money.
I'm not
I
giving
got
it
the
back.
daddy thing going on.
I don't know, do
I
you?
got the dad body. Like
A dad bod.
Will
No, no.
Smith and Mark Wahlberg.
No.
I got that going on now.
No, behind the paywall, you're sitting there with like your check in cash. That'll get it. Then you can be anybody's daddy you want to be.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Where were we?
so-
Where are we? What's
I don't
going
know.
on?
Pop-
Oh, there's Chekov is kissing, and it's terrible.
I'm not receiving, Mr. Chekov.
All you see is Chekov's ear.
She's taking one for the team. She's manipulating him. Actually, you probably should play the fight music because she doesn't mean him well.
as most ooh-wees do.
That's
I
not
just
a
don't.
word.
He just didn't.
That's Chekhov's ooh-wee.
I just didn't.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Just because she's not your ooh-wee, that's Chekhov's ooh-wee.
Oh yeah, definitely is his. Yeah.
Chekhov's ooh-wee in every second he saw. When he heard his voice, he
That's
started.
Mrs. Chekov.
When
If you left it up to him.
When he heard her voice, he started to melt.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he betrayed the ship as soon as he heard her voice.
Yeah.
So they come back. They all come back in, and they're giving their list of who.
Did you notice something? Only the ambassador's son changes his clothes. Everyone else wears the same thing. He keeps changing clothes.
I didn't even
I didn't
notice.
even pay
Yeah.
attention to that.
Yeah.
He's such a non-character.
With his purple eyebrows.
Well, he's going to become very important as soon as he runs through the ship, putting the hippie nerve pinch on everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Pavel's chick comes in, and she starts telling on the dish that my simp told me everything I needed to do.
Told me everything I needed.
So then they
Adam's like, how many Patreons do we have? It's like, yeah.
and she's probably got enough money on Patreon to buy her own starship.
How long is this song? Like
Too long.
Seriously.
He sings like 2 songs. But
Long time back.
we skipped over how he has this conversation with Spock and gets Spock to come to the jam session. and they staged this whole session to get the crew in and manipulate them and
Right, get the crew away from their station so
To
that they can take over
distract
the
them
ship.
because,
Distract them.
hearing a song when you've been in Star Trek and you know that if you screw up that much,
yeah.
it's Kobayashi Maru for you. But
Well,
there's a guy on the
Yeah, that
keeping
guy
terrible
should've-
time at the engineering station.
Scotty should have decked that
Oh,
guy.
that guy was terrible.
But I figure most of the people in the room are off-duty crew. I don't think they were actually
Okay.
leaving their stations.
Well, they're pumping it throughout the ship because you hear it on the bridge.
Yeah, which was a mistake.
Look at that guy. He's oh my goodness.
No, the security guy that's guarding Sevrin goes completely into the zone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Goes completely.
So
into
the
zone.
logic would be is that Sevrin has somehow put some sort of hypnotic acoustic thing in this, and that it's
No.
acting like an audio
No.
morphine. And
No, it's just music.
you think so?
It's just music. No, it's just
Well,
it's just a bad influence on the crew.
Jake Palpatine's theory is better.
It's a breakdown in discipline.
Jake Palpatine's theory is better that Sevrin did
Well,
some acoustic stuff in
Well,
it.
if Sevrin had gotten to a control panel, we know he's able to do sonic shenanigans, but he didn't
that's
do
right.
any sonic shenanigans.
That's right. Shakespeare.
You can't say
Sevrin-
that 2 times past. Severin's sonic shenanigans. Severin's sonic shenanigans.
Severin's behind the lighted wall,
Yeah.
the wall of light,
Good lighted wall.
the brig,
Yeah.
and there's a white button and a green button, and the green button gets you out
a big green button. You can't miss it. Can't miss. That's the only time it's there.
The big green candy
It's not there in
light
any other episode.
The
There's
big
huge
green-
buttons.
I think in Mirror Mirror the cell. They use the same cell.
I don't think
I don't
that big
remember
button's
seeing
there.
a green
I don't
button.
think so either.
You don't remember the big candle
Oh
like
heck
button?
no!
Look at that.
Heck no!
So-
It's cool because the white button has a red plaque
Yeah,
and the white plaque has a green button.
yeah.
They were like, you could tell in set design, it's like, do we have a red and a green button? Oh, no. It's the future.
So they break them out and they get down to
Well, no. Let's not overlook. Let's
Can
not
we?
overlook. Let's not
Can
overlook
we?
Rad.
Can we? The what?
Rad that's the name of the senator's son, who's sneaking around the ship, putting the hippie nerve pinch on people.
the two thumbs.
The two thumbs. Humans can do it too. Aren't you proud?
Nobody knew. No one knows this in the future except for Adam.
It's some obscure martial art that hardly anybody.
You don't know
practices.
what exact race he is. It might be something special in his genealogy.
I see people with purple hair every day. He's human.
So I never really, I'm not going to, I don't want to rewrite this, but I feel like I have to. You know how much, who's the most susceptible guy
On the ship?
to
Emotional manipulation.
female emotional manipulation?
McCoy.
So why can you have one of them like get a hypo from him and then have Adam go around and hypoing people? I buy that. I'm not buying the thumbs.
Because McCoy's too old to get suckered by these punk kids.
Oh. All right.
McCoy's no longer in the episode either. You don't
Yeah.
see McCoy no more.
Yeah, you never
No.
see him again.
No.
They didn't want to pay the actor.
No. Who knows? DeForest Kelly man has something to do. But they end up all in Sevrin and company all end up in auxiliary control. They take control of the ship and they set course for Eden.
Hey, brother.
Yea, brother.
So they set course to
Which
Eden.
just happens to be in Romulan space. But
But
luckily, no one's in Romulan space.
But the point is, if you try to take back control, I'm gonna blow up the ship.
Yeah, I'll blow the ship up.
So Sevrin is now a terrorist.
I'll burn down the society rather than not have my way.
And you would think that Adam or one of the guys would, put his hand over the intercom and go, "You're just playing around, right?
Well, they do that. There is
You're
that
not gonna-
byplay.
You're not going to kill me, are you?"
You see it very subtly. Adam's kind of Adam and Aranya and the others are like, hey, we're not really gonna hurt anybody, right? And he's kind of like, oh, don't worry about it. Rad is on board. Rad is totally down for the cause.
That's later on when he talks about the sonic.
Rad
sonic attack.
is ready to kill people.
yeah.
He's the senator's son.
Yeah. It ain't me.
And
He does all that with two thumbs. Imagine if he used the
I'm
other.
not a senator.
other fingers.
Son. It ain't me. It ain't me.
It is him.
I'm
Though.
not the fortunate one.
It is him though.
I got a belly, real scared.
So yeah, they take control of the ship and they're taunting Kirk, and Kirk's trying to reason with them, and of course that's not going to work. But you see what Jake is talking about. Sevrin is manipulating them, and some of them at this point are kind of like, hey, we're not really going to hurt anybody, are we? Because we're all about brotherhood, and we just want to go to Eden, right? And live our lives and be free, right? And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we're not really going to hurt anybody. But when he does set up the sonic,
Well, Chekov's girl says,
Aranya,
yeah, she says,
she's like, hold on.
You can't do that.
She's like, hold on, dude. I actually know this stuff, and what you're doing will kill people.
Yeah.
And since he's brilliant, Sevrin, he goes, no, under my control, I've got it taken care of. Nobody will die. And then he looks at
Rad.
Rad goes, no, this will kill them.
And he's on board. He's good.
And Sevrin goes, well, we can't have them following us. Once again, this peacenik, the peace lover, doesn't care about anybody but him.
The person that portrays themselves.
Doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Yeah.
All these people who then they gather together following, and they only care about themselves. That sort of reminds me of one person who's in charge of a group. I won't say the name of the group, but got a lot of money and went out and bought themselves houses.
Yeah. And none of that money filtered down to the communities they claim to be defending.
None of it.
Yeah, interesting case.
So then they activate the sonic panel
Well, they do when Scotty starts to cut through the door.
Yeah.
with a phaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminded me of the other franchise, too.
That was strange, though. It looked like he was, on the outside, he was cutting through a bulkhead, but on the inside of the room, it looked like he was cutting through the door.
No, it's a panel next
Scotty's
to the door.
cutting to the left of the door.
Right. But then when you see on the inside...
Yeah, it's the panel left of the door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not cutting the door.
Okay.
So whatever Scotty's got planned, he's cutting the wall.
Yeah. He reaches down to the old volume knob. And, of course, Spock's the first one to get hit with that sound.
What's the ears?
That's right.
So it happens when you have canine ears,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vulcan.
elf ears.
Vulcanian.
Superior everything.
And then Scotty drops like instantly. Boom. He's on the floor, and Kirk, he's managing to survive. And then he passes out.
Well, yeah.
They wake up.
Now this is the part the way Sevrin described it and the way what happens is like, why did they wake up? But
Yeah.
Well, so they could get through the ship. So he said, it won't affect us in the room.
well,
I'm
no.
gonna turn it on.
I'm talking about the way he described it. Kirk and company should not have woken up.
Well, it was designed. You're right. They shouldn't have. It was designed to knock everybody out, shut off,
Right.
so that they can get to the shuttle,
Right.
and then turn back on.
And it does.
But where they seemed like they woke up right as it was turning back on, and Kirk maintained enough because of Captain Power to get to the controls and turn it off. Because
I'll buy that.
he has to be the hero.
A rare display of plot armor.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should have given the writer should have given that plot armor to Scotty since he was the first to go down, but they gave it to Kirk
And Scotty had the phaser in his hand. I could have bought Scotty reaching up and shooting the
shooting
panel.
the panel. Yeah.
Or the other thing is, don't you think Sevrin might have just taken the knobs with him?
He didn't think they were getting back up.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think you can yank control knobs off a panel on a
Hey,
ship.
man, those things are super glued on. You ain't getting them off.
That's military grade paneling there. You don't just yank knobs off and run off like it's your granddad's television set.
Yeah, especially in Star Trek, it's easier to yank the whole panel out
Yeah.
and unplug it.
So then
It's
Kirk
easy
takes
to-
up 2 minutes of screen time calling every department that won't answer.
Yeah.
And then every department that does answer goes, "What happened?"
Well, that's how they convey you through the ship without conveying you through the ship.
And then he's told that the shuttle's been taken.
So then they beam down, and it's a hostile planet and acid, and Sevrin he takes a bite of an apple and kills himself. End of the story.
No,
We're done.
no.
Yeah.
They land on planet.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
They land on planet.
We've had enough of this episode.
They do a beautiful panoramic, which wasn't there in the first
Gorgeous
original.
CGI. Gorgeous CGI.
Original. And then
Gorgeous.
he tells them to split up, and then Chekov, for whatever reason, decides to smell the roses on the way.
And yeah, smell the roses with his hand.
Well,
Chekov
he was going to pick it, and he was going to smell
That's
it.
why Chekov's not a captain.
How did he get on the
Look,
ship?
Your job is to find Severus and bring him back. Don't go picking daisies
And he's
on the way.
like, oh, look, a flower. Let me touch it with my hand. Ah!
To answer your question, Arthur, if you pay attention to the previous episodes we've covered and other episodes we watched, everybody prior to him was either dead or exiled from the ship.
That's
I think they were getting thin on ensigns.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And
So
check
That
out-
is an ensign move. I'm telling they were sitting in the writers' thing and they said, they canceled us. We've done nothing for Walter. Well, let's have him have a love scene. Okay, then what?
Well, he was only on, he was only
a
on
red
the show
shirt.
for a season.
No
and a
red
half.
shirt. They beam down with no red shirts,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Well, this is a red shirt move, isn't it? Where somebody wanders off and touches something. You got to give it to Walter."
yeah.
Yeah.
They give it to Walter.
He's an ensign. He's stupid. He'll do
Yeah.
it.
So he finds out that the plant life is all acidic,
Everything.
even the grass.
Yeah.
Everything. Yes.
And then they see
The best part of the episode, where I burst out into applause.
They see a tree, and at the base of the tree we have
Dead Adam.
Which one do you want?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, brother.
Oh, come on.
Brother. Oh, that's now. That's real now.
Real deal.
Adam's at the base of the tree, dead, and
He's
a bite was taken out
he's
of a pear.
eaten of the fruit.
Yep, a bite was taken out of a pear
pear.
with red lines.
And then
Space.
Spock's standing there posing, and he says, "His name was Adam."
This hits Spock pretty hard.
Yeah, the irony. He ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge,
Adam
He
ate
was
of the fruit.
Adam ate of the fruit, and he surely died.
And he died.
and you shall surely die.
Adam ate at Eden.
Garden
Daddy?
of Eden.
Right.
Garden of Eden. Yeah.
You didn't catch? You
Yeah.
didn't catch that?
No, he was blacking out. Too.
No.
Was I the only one conscious at this point?
Mark was the only one. He's only one.
No, I
he's
was
the only
thinking-
one
I was-
guarding the gate of knowledge.
Yeah,
in
I
this
was
episode.
so caught up on the social commentary that I missed the very basic that this is a biblical story.
Adam on Eden
Adam
ate of
on
the
Eden.
fruit.
No,
Ate
it's
of
not
the
a
fruit
biblical
died.
story. There's a biblical reference.
It's
It's not a
an
biblical
It's an
story.
anti-biblical. It's an
Okay.
anti-biblical.
A
story.
biblical reference. Thank you.
And the Galileo too?
No, it's actually the 7.
Well, it's shuttlecraft number 7,
it
but
says
it's called the
Galileo.
Galileo 2.
Yeah.
It's the same shuttlecraft they show in every episode.
Why is it the 2? Where's the
It-
Galileo 1?
It was always the 2.
It was?
Yeah,
That makes no sense to me.
because if we do the episode I want to cover, it's the same shuttlecraft.
Is that the one with they're on the planet and it's Spock's command?
Yeah, Attack of the Care Bears. The Galileo 7.
Okay, so they after Adam is found dead, they find the shuttle, and
These
all-
guys have got a horrible case of athletic foot.
Yeah, their feet are all jacked
Burned.
up because the grass is poisonous as well, acidic as well. And they're carrying the girls out of the shuttle. I don't know why you take them out of the shuttle. You seem like you would climb into the shuttle and go back to the ship. Why take them out of the shuttle?
Well, if it's me, if it's the Admiral, I'm taking you out of the shuttle and I'm going to watch you dance because you took over my ship. If it's me. But I'm not a nice person.
So
so.
they take them out of the shuttle.
And listen, no, wait, okay, so since we're piling on, okay, McCoy looks down and Severin's got a case of athletic foot. And he goes, "There's more than I can do for him here." I've seen McCoy bring back dead aliens.
Grow
Well,
kidneys.
and you
with a
said
hypo.
McCoy was done in this episode. McCoy's back.
No, that was Daystrom. So what is it? What happens? Nobody can catch Sevrin. He's too fast.
And
He runs over and climbs up a tree.
They don't care anymore. Let him bite the fruit. That's how I felt. I didn't care.
No.
I didn't
from
care.
from the time Sevrin with no feet burned off, he
Yeah.
ran to a tree and climbed up it before Spock could catch him.
Spock
Yeah.
didn't care no more.
Okay.
I'd have phasered him.
So Severin's like, I'm not leaving. Because Kirk's like, okay, we gotta get you and your people back to the ship.
Right.
And Severin's like, I'm not leaving Eden. I'm not leaving Eden. And he runs off and grabs one of the poisonous pears. And I would have let him. Go right ahead, Doc. You didn't care about nobody but yourself. You would have killed all these people anyway.
Right.
You want to take yourself out? Go. I'll happily let you. You want to euthanize yourself? Go right ahead. And he does. And then poor Chekov's girl is boo-hooing.
Narcissism kills.
And they get back to the ship, and Kirk's glad to be done with them.
I'd have took him out of the shuttlecraft just so I could repo my shuttlecraft.
No, you leave him in the shuttlecraft, put Chekov in it, fly him back to the ship.
See. You didn't catch what I said. I'd have put him out of my shuttlecraft and repoed my shuttlecraft.
Oh, just take him and left him on
I
planet?
ain't taking nobody back. Jerks. You hijacked my ship. It's not going well for you after
You can't
that.
be petty,
Can you
Captain
remote pilot?
Admiral?
Can you remote pilot the shuttles?
They never said you could in the old series.
You should be able to with the level of technology.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because you could just stand up there and just recall the Galileo.
You should be able to with the level of technology. They never shown it, but it should be doable.
Because that's one of the things I really liked in Aliens, the movie, where they could remote
The
second drop ship from the Sulaco.
Yeah, because it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why I hate that other franchise where individuals got body armor and the body armor has no optical capabilities inside the helmet. Smoke is enough to prevent them from seeing you. That's stupid,
Wow.
especially for a space franchise.
Science fantasy versus science fiction.
Look, if I got starships, my space helmet better have some optic
science
capability.
fantasy.
Isn't that right, Lieutenant Arthur?
Yeah, a little thermal.
Lieutenant
Why do you
Commander?
keep demoting him? Science fantasy
No, I want
versus
the,
hard science fiction.
writing. I want the writing to match.
No, you.
I've got starship capability. I can fly faster than light. You tell me you can't give me a body armor with some optics?
Hard science fiction, Star Trek.
Heck, the dark guy with the dark guy with the big black helmet got optics. You can't get the average guy with a white helmet.
He's just looking out through a lens tint.
No, that's optics. No,
he's just looking out through a lens tint.
It's optics.
No, hard science fiction, Star Trek, science fantasy, that other thing.
Well, the big black guy got optics because he was cutting guys down in the hallway in the middle of the smoke. Right?
In the other franchise,
you can't get the little guys in white helmets, optics.
In the other franchise, hyperdrives work because there's little gnomes in the ship, and they run real fast.
And when you don't feed them, they run out of gas.
And if you feed them after midnight, they turn into gremlins. But look,
are we gonna end this?
We could end this. And then don't you touch it. No.
What's the final commentary on the episode?
Yeah, brother.
Admiral.
That's it.
Final thoughts? Click like and subscribe.
Click like and subscribe. Personally, I'm shocked if this episode even makes it up on YouTube with everything we said, but let's see what happens. The final thought on this episode. It was a warning from the past / future.
Yep.
Not to let well-meaning idealism become extremism.
Yep.
Not to get caught up in a cult of personality and let somebody lead you down a path that's going to hurt you because of a good idea. Because of an idealistic idea.
It's Leto II's warning about charismatic leaders.
And well-meaning authority can have repercussions upon society.
Right.
Yes. And
Starfleet's atmospheric control had repercussions towards this disease.
And in real life, like it or not, a productive, safe society requires a certain amount of order and discipline.
Absolutely.
And if you want to change it, you have to change it in a constructive way. You can't just reject it.
Can't just defund the police.
And drop out of it. Don't take my starship away. I need it. Mm-hmm. You can't just drop out of society or try to burn society down when you don't have something to replace it with. Can we go now?
Jake? Looking forward to Trouble with Tribbles.
Are we? Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. This is Captain Dystrom, and we're out.
Yeah. It's your episode. It's your episode. It's your episode. Get aside.
No. Brother.
No.
Yeah, brother.